So dealership profitability is something that I'm pretty passionate about. And when we think about it, it's really the measurement of how our departments are performing. And without it, in any business, it's really difficult for that business to be successful. As Justina alluded to earlier, in our industry, margins have grown and shrunken in every new car deal. And there's been a greater focus now on fixed operations profit to deliver that profitability for a dealership. And as we've already discussed, the profits in fixed operations have been increasing as a percentage of total dealership gross, but there's still a huge opportunity to improve. So let's really quickly take a look at dealership returns. And what this graph shows is in 2018, this study was done by Ward's Auto, and they showed that dealerships retained 33% of overall customer service visits. What that means is that 67% of the customers that need a vehicle serviced are going someplace else, someplace that didn't sell them the vehicle. And so when we think about what those opportunities are, this is a huge opportunity for us to grow, guys. And we think about how we're marketing, how we're getting customers back into the dealership. Are we getting our used cars back into the dealership? Because that's a great opportunity to improve overall sales in dealerships, because it's a car that has more mileage on it, and the opportunity there for additional services is greater. But we focus so much on getting new car customers back. In the studies that we do, we notice there's a huge opportunity to bring used car customers back into the dealership. So what causes customers to come back? And it's all about trust. And 53% of the customers that do come back to the dealership talk a lot about how they trust the dealership. This is where they call home. We think about that initial greeting at the car. The first impression the customer has pulling into the dealership. Is somebody going to greet them at the vehicle so they can feel welcome? Are they going to be able to build a relationship by introducing them by name? Are we able to grow that customer's confidence in what we do? And that builds trust, and that builds in that over a period of time. 45% of the customers had a great experience when they purchased their vehicle. So hats off to our sales team members for making sure that our customers enjoyed having that purchase experience so much that they wanted to come back and utilize our service department. And then a statistic that Justina spoke about earlier, where customers are 1.5 times more likely to utilize the service department if they're introduced to service at time of purchase. 21% said they came back because they were introduced to service at time of purchase. I think about that as like customers want to know where to go. They want to know what to do. They want to be invited, and they want to be introduced to a service advisor. And to Jack's point earlier, if there's an opportunity for them to book their appointment online, how great of an opportunity it would be to show them how to do that and what that resource looks like, so that we're able to continue to retain those customers, both new and used, to our dealerships. So now that we've talked about returns coming back to dealerships and why customers come back, I'm going to switch gears a little bit and talk about some areas of opportunity for profitability. So I could spend a couple of days talking about areas of dealership profitability and talk a lot about statistics and a lot of numbers to where it would drive everybody crazy. But today I'm going to talk about 4 things. And the first one I'll talk about is increasing customer returns for service. Profit gets harder to create if we're not increasing the customers coming back to do service with us. Now, we can improve our dollars per repair order, we can increase our labor rates, but if customers aren't coming back into our dealerships for service, it makes it really hard for us to turn higher profits. And our consultants really work side by side with your consultants to be able to help build what we just talked about was the largest factor of customers coming back to the dealership: trust. And that soft skill is so important, because customers can tell right away when they meet somebody if they're a trustworthy individual or not. They get that impression in just a couple of seconds. And we really work with your teams to be able to make sure that we can build that trust with your customers. The next thing I'll talk about is reducing discounts on labor. And this is a really interesting topic because there's a couple schools of thought. And the first school of thought is, well, I'm just going to reduce or eliminate the ability for my advisors to be able to give discounts on labor, so that when they go to close out a repair order, gosh darn it, no matter what, I'm going to get all the money on the repair order. And I think about what that does to our team members, and we think about all of the things that come at them on a daily basis. And here's just one more roadblock for them to do their job. And I know that this is the feedback because I've gotten this feedback from service consultants working in a dealership. Just one more roadblock. I've got to go find my manager to get him to type in the authorization code for me to be able to get a discount on this repair order. And it just creates a lot of havoc, and it takes time away from the overall transaction with the consumer. I like to think about it in a different sense. One of the things that we talk about is, how do we build value? How do we build value in what we do? And Jack spoke a lot about the price mentality, and it becomes a transactional exchange with the consumer. What we work on is building value in the service. Customers don't come in for a set of brake pads, right? They come in because their vehicle isn't stopping, right? Customers don't come in to get a water pump replaced. They come in because there's fluid on their garage floor. Our job is to help train our advisors and to work with our advisors to be able to talk about elimination of a symptom, so that the customer knows that their life is going to continue on in the way that it's always been. Because, as we've already discussed today, customers value their time so much. And it's really important that we're able to build value in what we do and how we can represent that from the customer coming back to the store, that we're able to retain that higher mark on our labor so that we don't have to think about how we're going to discount it. So the next area is increasing the effective labor rate. And our effective labor rate goes tandem with the amount of labor that we're keeping from every billed labor hour that we maintain. By improving our effective labor rates just a small little bit on a monthly basis, it can reap incredible returns from a profitability standpoint. This is something that we look at when we do our initial evaluation in dealerships, and something that we trend and we monitor along the way as well. And we identify just where some of that leakage is from an effective labor rate standpoint, so that we're able to help you continue to maintain that overall effective rate that is so important to the success of our stores. And then the last thing I'll talk about is total departmental expense awareness. Now, that's easy for me to say. And the first step is really understanding where you are as it relates to expenses and where you should be. And there's many times when we'll go evaluate a dealership and we sit down and we start talking about the percentage of personnel and semi-fixed expenses as a percentage of overall gross profit. And there's just not that awareness of where the dealer should be or where they're at. What they know is their store is not making money. And when we did the survey earlier, half of you all said that profitability is a major area of opportunity. And what we do when we take a look into the financials of your stores, we really analyze exactly where the expenses lie, where they should be, and what our recommendations will be so we can help bring those under control. Obviously, as we grow gross profit through building greater value in the service and retaining a higher effective labor rate and improving the overall repair order effectiveness, we increase gross profit, which helps that bottom line. But if we're not paying attention to and controlling expenses at the same time, all that increase in gross profit is going to do nothing but erode, because expenses are going to continue to grow.